Boy, I will say it. I am loving Fallout Season 2. Don't think I'm going to absolutely glaze it, though. There's a lot of issues I have. The biggest one of them all is obviously the destruction of the NCR. We may also talk about the Caesar's Legion for a bit, but also, the signs were there with the NCR, to be honest. And I'm going to talk about what's ultimately going to bring them back from the edge of the beast, because I have a theory, I have an idea, and it's all has to do with our very honorable guy Maximus. But that being said, people like to complain the NCR was never going to fall at him. Listen, if you literally listen to the characters in New Vegas, you start to get a bigger picture. Without the Courier's intervention, it's a downward spiral for the NCR, possibly even the Legion, because Caesar dies. We see what happened. Caesar's death caused two factions to arise, and now the new leg at play, led by Macaulay Culkin, is clearly going to take the reins, good or bad. But the signs were there. We like to think that the skirmish for the Brotherhood didn't really do damage, but it ultimately did. The Brotherhood, towards the end of the fight with the NCR, raided the gold reserves of the NCR, and that crippled their back currency. So, what happens? Caps become useful again. Sure, the NCR can use a dollar, but it doesn't have their dollars, but it doesn't have the strength that it used to. And couple that with the war for the Mojave and the Hoover Dam not being cared for by the politicians or the people back home in Shady Sands, you start to get a pretty big, clear picture that things weren't looking good. The ending cutscenes for the last episode quite literally shows McCarran destroyed, and there could be many reasons why. It could be that the Caesar's Legion committed a dirty bomb because Caesar died and they went crazy. House could have done something to wreck the NCR, but even then he was perfectly fine with the NCR existing, just not over Hoover Dam. So it's anyone's guess how the domino fell. We know that there's not really anyone in the NCR back in Mojave, for obvious reasons because of Shady Sands destruction, but there is another capital out there under the NCR banner. Here's my thought process on Maximus. He is not Brotherhood material. He is morally honest, and that's even with being in the Brotherhood's presence most of his life. Quintus saved him. We hear that in this past episode. Quintus saved him, and he clearly regrets it because the first codex is kill abominations. The thing is, Maximus does not see those children as abominations or even ghouls. He saw them as kids. He says it that much in the episode. Maximus is everything the NCR stood for. Were there problems in the NCR? Yes. Corruption, stagnation. They represented the old world, good and bad. But Maximus is the ideal person that fits right in the NCR, the good and honest working person who cares for the common folk. I think Tandy's death sent them towards a collision that there was no stopping. Tandy helped bring the NCR to what it was. She gave it life, she gave it truth, and she gave it meaning. And then years passed and they said they're going to push onward into Las Vegas, New Vegas, the Mojave. And the fight with the Brotherhood taxed them. The inability to protect trade routes, which, if I'm not mistaken, Sharon Cassidy says that much, that people would rather work with the devil they know than to be a possibility of dying without the protection of the NCR, because the Legion was protecting trade routes. You just had to work with them. Sharon Cassidy said that much, that people were willing to work with Caesar's legions to get their trading done, even if it meant working with Caesar's Legion, because the NCR was disconnected and was unable to protect trade routes because they had stretched themselves so thin. I ultimately believe Maximus is the key to bringing back the NCR, and I ultimately think that's what's going to happen. So let's kind of delve into that and talk about Caesar's Legion as well, because that's a big point. But ultimately, I think Maximus is going to bring the NCR back. I think they're going to, he's going to give them the cold fusion, and they're going to be able to be the powerhouse that they once were. I ultimately think that. I don't know, that might not be a popular opinion, but it just seems like him being from, his life started in Shady Sands under the NCR flag. And I think it's ultimately going to culminate with the same flag, the same banner, the bear. I ultimately think that he's going to bring NCR back from the abyss, and they're going to rise up to be the New California Republic once again. And ultimately, we'll stand by that. I think that's what's going to happen towards the end of the season. Now, I feel like we've talked enough about the NCR. Let's talk about everybody's favorite cult of personality, Caesar's Legion. The Roman LARPers, led by a guy with less intelligence than a mole rat. If you thought Caesar's Legion would survive, Joshua Graham said it best, without Caesar, they are leaderless. They are a ship without a rudder. They have no one, and they'll become nothing but common thugs and without Caesar. And we see that. Caesar's body is split between two warring Caesar factions with two separate Caesars. But ultimately, I think that note says, I am Caesar, only I am Caesar. I am the only Caesar. His humble beginnings with the followers of Apocalypse became distorted, and he fell in love with Rome, an idea of Rome that doesn't exist. But without the leadership of Caesar, there is no one to lead. Now, Macaulay Culkin's character is obviously going to be the leader. We've seen that from the opening trailer. I'd be very interested to see how they approach him and what that means, for better or for worse. But if you were expecting Caesar's Legion to be, I don't know, still surviving, there's not much hope. They were doomed, honestly, without Caesar. And before you said, what about Legate Lennius? Twitchy. Here's the thing. Legate is not a leader. He is a killer. He wants to kill. That's his idea of leadership. He wants to kill people. That's what he wants to do. He's a war guy. He's not a low intelligence thinker like Caesar. Caesar had the ideas and the thoughts, and that is what he had. He had thought behind his reasoning, what he was doing, but ultimately it was doomed to fail. It was doomed to collapse in on itself, because without Caesar, there is no Caesar's Legion. He was the glue keeping together. Joshua Graham said it best. House said it best. They are a ship without a rudder. They are a sheep without their shepherd. They were never going to succeed. No, I don't know what Macaulay Culkin's character is going to do. Like I said, better or worse, he'll be their new Caesar. We know that, obviously. So be very interested how he approaches himself, or if we see anything from season 2. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to know how they're going to approach it. There's no nuance with Caesar Legion. They're slavers. They kill, they rape, they pillage. That's really all they are. There's no real nuance to them. They're the bad guys. They're the stereotypical bad guys of almost every RPG. They want to rule with absolute authority. Authority can't be questioned. They'll put people into their tribes and kill anyone who stands against them. That's who they are. I honestly can't wait to see what Macaulay Culkin's Caesar is. We've got 3 episodes left, I think. 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? So hopefully it'll be good. I'm hoping. Honestly, I have criticism. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Lucy's portrayal. The Brotherhood is incompetent with this faction because, they just don't have the training of the Commonwealth. I love Thaddeus. Thaddeus is my goat, willing to die for kids. But also, side tangent, was he looking for the star bottle cups to give it to Festus? Was he though? Who knows at this point? But honestly, I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think about the NCR? What about Caesar Legion? What do you think the ultimate conclusion is? Do you think Maximus is gonna elevate NCR back to who they once were by giving them the cold fusion? What do you think Macaulay Culkin's seizure is going to be like? If he's going to be strong enough to lead the factions? Obviously, they choose him. Let me know down below. And as always, internet, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Helps your boy get in the algorithm. If you're feeling super generous, just maybe consider subscribing, turning on notification bells to keep updated when I post. That's it. That's the video. Love you all. See you on the next one. Take it easy.